You think you're burned out because you're working too hard. What if I told you you're wrong? Today, we're doing what's called a biogenic audit to find the real, biological reason you feel so completely exhausted.
So let's just get right into it. Why are you really so exhausted? I'm sure you've told yourself it's the long hours, the nonstop emails, the pressure. But what if all of that is just a symptom of a much, much deeper problem?
Because, look, it is not the number of hours you're putting in. That whole hustle culture narrative, it's kind of a lazy explanation, to be honest. The real problem isn't something you can find on your calendar. It's actually coded deep inside your biology.
The real source of your exhaustion, the thing that is truly draining you, is the role you're performing every single day. We all do it, right? We put on these masks to fit in, to get that promotion, to meet everyone else's expectations. But that performance, that acting, it comes with a hidden and very, very steep physiological price tag.
And we need to give this a name. It's called biogenic embezzlement. Now, this isn't just about feeling a little tired after a long day. This is the act of systematically stealing energy from your body's most basic systems to fund a social performance that your biological hardware was never, ever designed for. You're not just working hard, you are running a massive biological deficit. So how do we stop this? How do we stop the bleeding? Well, the very first step is to run a diagnostic. We have to understand the fundamental machine specs of your own body and brain. We have to strip away all the social conditioning and just see what's really under the hood.
And this completely redefines what you think introvert and extrovert mean. Forget about social preferences for a second. This is all about neuroscience. The biogenic introvert's brain is naturally overstimulated. It's already buzzing. Its biological job is to find quiet to calm down and focus. The biogenic extrovert's brain, on the other hand, is naturally understimulated. Its job is to go out and seek action just to wake itself up. This isn't a personality choice, it's your hardware's factory default setting.
So, how do you find your own baseline? You can run this incredibly simple test called the default mode protocol. Just find a room where you can be alone, get rid of your phone and all other devices, and just sit there for 30 minutes. And observe. What is the very first thing your body wants to do? What's that raw biological impulse when all the social scripts are finally turned off?
So what happened? If your first impulse was to get antsy, to reach for your phone, maybe to pace around, that was your brain literally starving for input. That means you're a biogenic extrovert. But if you felt a wave of relief, if your shoulders dropped and you were kind of dreading the timer going off, your brain was finally getting the deprivation it desperately craves. You're a biogenic introvert. See, this isn't about what you like. It's about what your nervous system needs. Okay, but what happens when we ignore this fundamental need? When we force our hardware to run software it was never designed for? Well, your body has a very clear and very physical set of warning lights that start flashing like crazy.
The first sign is something called the autonomic flush. Have you ever felt yourself getting weirdly hot or flustered during a high-stakes presentation or just a forced social interaction? That's not just nerves. That is the metabolic heat from the extreme effort of acting, and it is literally leaking out of your body. Your system is redlining.
Now, the second warning sign is even more alarming. You start losing your words. You're grasping for simple vocabulary because your brain is diverting so much energy to just maintaining the mask that it has to start shutting down non-essential functions, like complex language. I mean, think about that. The stress of acting is literally putting your brain into a temporary safe mode.
And the third sign is the clenched jaw. This is your body's physical way of containing your true impulses. You are literally biting back the urge to flee a loud party or to say what you really think to a difficult boss. It is the physical evidence of chronic suppression.
Let's just put it all together. The flush signals acute overload. Your system is redlining. The lost words signal cognitive depletion. Your brain is in safe mode. And that clenched jaw, that signals chronic long-term stress damage. These are not just feelings, you guys. They are data points coming directly from your nervous system, telling you that your energy budget is in a full-blown crisis.
So, given this incredibly high biological cost, the question has to be, when is it ever worth it to pay this price? When is it actually rational to act so far out of character?
Well, Professor Brian Little gives us the answer with his idea of core personal projects. And the concept is that we can, and sometimes we should, act against our biological nature, but only when we're doing it in service of something that is deeply, deeply meaningful to our identity. You know, an introverted parent might act extroverted to fight for their child at school.
they act out of behavioral character to remain in character with their core values. This gives you a powerful tool to figure this out for yourself. Audit the things in your life that drain you. Is launching your startup worth the tax? If it's a 9 on meaning and a 9 on identity, then yeah, absolutely. But what about pleasing your in-laws at some loud family dinner? If that's a 3, well then you are embezzling your biological capital for a really low return investment. You have to stop funding it.
So, you've identified the core projects that are worth the tax. Great. But how do you pay that tax without going completely biologically bankrupt? The solution is to master the art of oscillation.
First, we have to kill this myth of the ambivert, this idea that the goal is to live in some kind of balanced, beige, middle ground. That flat line right there, that just leads to chronic depletion. The reality of sustainable high performance looks like a sine wave. You have periods of intense, out-of-character action, followed by deliberate, deep recovery all the way back to your biological baseline.
Recovery happens in what are called restorative niches. And these are concrete, practical places and moments you can build into your day. The bathroom stall at a loud party is the classic introvert refuge for a 5-minute reset. Or sitting in your car for just 10 minutes before you walk into your house creates an airlock between your work persona and your home self. And my favorite, the wall stare. A deliberate 15-minute block of zero digital input to let your brain actually reboot.
You also have to make these costs explicit with the people around you. You do this through what's called a free trade agreement. It's a negotiation. You say, hey, I can absolutely give you this high-energy performance you need from me, but in exchange, I need this specific recovery. It could be knowing I have an escape hatch at 9 p.m. allows me to be fully present and enjoy myself until then. This is not selfish. It is incredibly strategic. So in practice, this means building a schedule for oscillation, not endurance. You batch your high-intensity performance tasks into a single block. Then, and this is the most important part, you immediately pay back that energy tax with a block of deep, zero-input recovery before you move on to the next thing. You pulse between being 100% on and 0% on. And that right there is the ultimate takeaway. Stop chasing this myth of balance. It doesn't exist. The goal is strategic flourishing. It's about having the self-awareness to know your biological hardware and the discipline to structure your life in a way that lets you perform at your absolute peak without burning yourself to the ground. So, I'll leave you with one final question. Based on your own audit, what is the one non-core project you will consciously stop funding with your biological energy starting this week? Your answer to that question could be the first real step to ending your exhaustion for good.